In 1933, Prohibition finally ended after 14 years. Many wineries had shut down because of this cruel law, but Wente Brothers, a Livermore wine company, had stayed in business through it all. While other wineries had to restart after Prohibition, Wente was prepared and was already selling their products. This incredible feat was accomplished by the sons of Carl Wente, the one who started the winery. The winery has managed to stay in business for 130 years and counting. Carl Wente led his family to start this winery in 1883, and it is the oldest, continually operating, family-owned winery in California. It is a part of the billions of dollars generated by California wine every year. This all started right after Carl Wente traveled to California. Carl came to America from Hanover, Germany. The warm climate was very different from his cold home. He still was able to start his winery in this new strange place, which proves that he was a great leader. However, when it came to moving to America, he didn't really have much of a choice.
He was the second son of the second wife of a German farming family that came from just south of Hanover, Germany. And the first son from that family gets the farm, and the second son has to choose between Kaiser's army and getting on a boat and getting out of there. And he chose to get on a boat, and he came through Ellis Island, worked as a teamster driving horses across the U.S. When he got to California, he wanted to work for a German, and the only person that gave him a job was Charles Krug. So Charles Krug was already in the wine industry, so he learned how to grow grapes and make wine from Charles Krug, just from the random happenstance of wanted to work for a German and someone gave him a job.
In 1883, Carl married Barbara Trotwine on the flat roof of Barbara's brother's pickle factory. They moved to Livermore, where Carl started the winery. He was very fair to everyone, which made him a great leader. By 1889, the property had grown much larger. The cellar at the winery held 50,000 gallons of wine. Chardonnay was scarce in California in 1912. However, a professor at UC Davis decided to plant some clones from the University of Montpellier in Wente vineyards. People from all over came and took cuttings of the vines from Wente, and now about 80% of California Chardonnay is descended from Wente vineyards. Carl also helped in the community. He helped to found Livermore Valley Bank in 1903 and worked there until 1919. He was elected trustee of Livermore High School, and he served until he died in 1934. In 1919, the 18th Amendment was passed. It became known as Prohibition. It banned the manufacture, sale, transport, import, or export of alcoholic beverages. Fortunately, it was repealed in 1933 by the 21st Amendment, but at the time, wineries all over the U.S. were in big trouble. The very thing they made for a living was now prohibited. Many wineries had to shut down. After Prohibition began, Carl retired, leaving his two sons, Ernest and Herman, to run the winery. But Wente stayed in business through all the hardships. They also did it legally. They sold sacramental wine to George de la Tour of Beaulieu Vineyards for religious use in the Catholic Church and shipped grapes for home winemaking, which was legal. They also sold table grapes and raised cattle and grain. In 1924, Herman married Edith Monahan from New Brunswick, Canada. A year later, Ernest married her sister Bess. Herman and Ernest built up their stock near the end of Prohibition, sensing the repeal was nigh. When it was repealed in 1933, the Wentes were able to sell their wine already, whereas the other wineries had to restart, get new employees, and many other complications. Today, Wente owns about 3,000 acres of vineyard, 2,200 in Livermore, 800 on Arroyo Seco, and the original 48 acres. They are all sustainably farmed, which is important.
I think sustainability as a concept as a whole is important because we should all, as the greater human species throughout the world, think about all of our natural resources and how we manage that. And so sustainability really takes a long-term focus in terms of your inputs, in terms of how you manage the environment, the water, the runoff, what pesticides you would use or not use. And for example, with sustainability, it's really about how you manage water and how you manage your irrigation, how you manage your processed water in the winery, which we recycle through a two-stage system. A simple thing with sustainability is put owl boxes in the vineyard instead of having to deal with squirrels another way. You're just sort of letting Mother Nature work and come to some sort of symbiosis and balance so you can take the best care of the land as possible.
The California Sustainable Wine Growing Alliance is a nonprofit organization that is trying to get wine growers to think about sustainability more. Much of what they do are things Wente has done ever since the winery has started. Carl Wente was a great leader, as are his descendants, and while the winery isn't very big, it still makes a large impact on many people and the economy of California.
We're a mid to small size winery in terms of what's out there in the marketplace. I think we're number 27 in terms of size in the state of California, but the largest wineries are 3,000 times our size. So we're really sort of a small little piece in that overall puzzle, and a small to mid-sized family business that's working hard every day, every year, and every generation to stay a family business.
That is the legacy of Carl Wente.